there exists within the human experience a force so profound, so overwhelming in its intensity, that it transcends the boundaries of what we might consider ordinary affection or simple attraction. What your person feels for you moves far beyond the realm of normal human connection. It is a magnetic pull that defies explanation, a gravitational force of the soul that has taken residence not merely in their heart, but has woven itself into the very fabric of their being. This is not the fleeting passion that burns bright and quickly fades. No, this is something far more ancient, far more powerful. It is an all-consuming devotion that has roots reaching deep into the spiritual realm, touching places within them that they never knew existed until you arrived in their life like a revelation, like an answer to a question they had been unconsciously asking their entire existence. From the very first moment they became aware of your presence, something fundamental shifted within the landscape of their inner world. It was as if the universe itself had rearranged its priorities, as if the stars had aligned to spotlight a truth they had been blind to until that pivotal instant. You carry within yourself an energy that is not merely rare, but genuinely otherworldly in its nature. It is an aura that speaks of ancient wisdom, of souls that have traveled through countless lifetimes seeking recognition, seeking home. Your energy creates a paradox that fascinates and captivates them. In your presence, people find themselves simultaneously at peace and deeply intrigued. You offer the comfort of safety, the feeling that one can lower their guard and simply exist without pretense or performance. Yet beneath that tranquil surface lies an ocean of mystery, depths that call out to be explored, secrets that whisper of profound understanding and spiritual knowing that few possess. Your person has always been acutely aware of this remarkable quality that sets you apart from others. It is not something they can articulate easily in words, for it exists beyond the realm of simple description. It is felt in the way the air seems to change when you enter a room, in the way conversations take on deeper meaning in your presence, and the way problems seem more manageable when you are near. They recognize in you something that speaks to their soul's deepest longings for connection, for understanding, for home. This recognition awakened within them a protective instinct so fierce, so primal, that it sometimes frightened them with its intensity. It was not born from pity or a sense of obligation, but from a profound understanding of your inherent value, your spiritual purity, and the quiet yet undeniable power that flows through your very existence. You represent something sacred in their world, something that must be cherished and shielded from the harshness that so often characterizes human interaction. Yet here lies the great tragedy of their story, the source of their deepest shame and regret. Despite this overwhelming urge to protect and honor you, their actions betrayed the very instincts that should have guided them. What they did to you was not merely thoughtless, it was a betrayal of the sacred trust that exists between souls who recognize each other across the vastness of human experience. It was shameless in its disregard for the precious gift they had been given in your love. In those moments when they chose to wound rather than heal, to distance rather than embrace, to protect their ego rather than nurture connection, they were operating from a place of spiritual blindness. At the time, their minds created elaborate justifications for their behavior. They convinced themselves they were being practical, protecting their own vulnerable heart, doing what was necessary for their emotional survival. Pride whispered in their ear that vulnerability was weakness, that admitting fault would strip them of their dignity and power. But now, in the harsh light of hindsight and spiritual awakening, those justifications crumble like ancient parchment exposed to flame. When they look back upon their choices, all they can see is the devastating wrongness of their actions, the way they allowed fear, ego, and pride to become the puppet masters of their behavior. They are filled with a disgust so profound it reaches into the depths of their being, a self-loathing that comes from recognizing how completely they failed to honor something sacred. If the universe offered them the impossible gift of reversing time, they would not hesitate for a single moment. They would not use such power for personal gain, for correcting career mistakes, or for preventing global tragedies. No, their first and only thought would be to return to those crucial moments with you and choose differently. To choose love over fear, courage over cowardice, truth over pride, connection over the cold comfort of emotional isolation. They would choose to speak the words that should have been spoken, to offer the embrace that should have been given, to bridge the gaps that their fear had created. They would choose to see you, to really see you, in all your beauty and complexity, rather than viewing you through the distorted lens of their own insecurities and defensive mechanisms. The regret they carry is not a light burden that can be set aside when convenient. It is a weight that has taken up permanent residence in their chest, pressing against their heart with every breath. It is deep and heavy, like an anchor that keeps them tethered to the painful recognition of what they have lost. They regret not just the ending, but every missed opportunity along the way, every moment when they could have chosen to love you better and instead chose the false safety of emotional distance. This was not about convenience or taking the easy path. You were never easy to love in the sense that you challenged them, pushed them to grow, demanded authenticity in a world where pretense often feels safer. But that challenge was precisely what made you worth holding on to, worth fighting for, worth the effort it would have required to break down the walls they had spent years constructing around their heart. Fear became their master, whispering lies about vulnerability being synonymous with weakness. Their ego convinced them that admitting mistakes would somehow diminish their worth, that showing their true feelings would hand you power to hurt them. But these very defenses, meant to protect them, became the prison walls that separated them from the one thing they truly desired, the one person who had touched their soul in ways they are still discovering. Now they sit with the consequences of those choices, and the pain has become a constant companion. It seeps into every quiet moment like water finding its way through the smallest cracks. It transforms into a dull ache during the mundane activities of daily life, but sharpens into something almost unbearable when memories of you surface unbidden. Your face appears in their mind's eye, your voice echoes in their memory, your laughter haunts their dreams, and the ache becomes so intense it feels physical, as if their very bones are crying out in mourning for what has been lost. They feel the weight of their failures not just in grand gestures or dramatic moments, but in all the small, everyday opportunities they missed to show you how deeply they cared. Every time they chose silence over words of affirmation, distance over closeness, protection of their pride over vulnerability, they were failing you in ways that accumulated like drops of water, eventually carving canyons through solid rock. Your silence now has become a mirror more honest than any they have ever faced. In your absence of reaching out, in your refusal to make their return journey easy, they are confronted with the stark reality of just how much pain they caused you. Each day that passes without hearing your voice, without receiving a message or call, serves as a reminder of the depth of wounds they inflicted. Your silence speaks volumes about the healing you have had to do, the strength you have had to cultivate, the independence you have had to build in the aftermath of their choices. Every sunrise brings with it the growing realization of how thoroughly they underestimated the damage their actions would cause. They are beginning to understand that pain, real emotional and spiritual pain, does not simply evaporate when the source of that pain recognizes their mistakes. It lingers, it transforms, it becomes part of the person's story and growth, and it creates changes that cannot be undone by regret alone. They long to shatter this silence, to bridge the distance that stretches between you like an ocean of unsaid words and unhealed wounds. But they are beginning to understand that before any meaningful communication can occur, they must first face the full magnitude of what they have done. They must acknowledge not just their actions, but the ripple effects of those actions, the nights you cried alone, the moments of self-doubt they planted in your mind, the ways you had to rebuild your sense of worth after they dismantled it through their neglect and emotional abandonment. The apology they want to offer is not the shallow, self-serving kind that seeks quick absolution and an immediate return to comfort. They want to speak words that come from the deepest places of genuine remorse, words that acknowledge every tear they caused to fall, every moment of loneliness they created, every time they made you question your own value and worthiness of love. They want to confess their truth before time creates even more distance between you, before life carries you so far forward that their words become irrelevant to your journey. They know with absolute certainty that they have been the author of countless tears, the architect of nights when sleep eluded you because your heart was breaking, the creator of wounds you had to carry in silence because your strength and dignity prevented you from showing the world the depth of your pain. In their mind's eye, they see you alone in your most vulnerable moments, crying in the privacy of your own space, hiding your heartbreak behind the strong facade you present to others. They imagine the weight of carrying that pain while still moving through your daily life, still showing up for work, for friends, for family, still functioning in the world while internally processing the betrayal and abandonment they subjected you to. Yet in witnessing your strength, even from a distance, they have come to realize something profound. In those wounds they inflicted, in the necessity of healing that their actions created, something remarkable has grown within you. Your resilience has deepened, your emotional intelligence has expanded, your mental clarity has sharpened like a blade forged in fire. You have become stronger not because you chose this path, but because their failures forced you onto it. They find themselves in the strange position of admiring the very strength that their cruelty helped to create, while simultaneously hating that they were the catalyst for such growth being necessary. They see in you now a person who has learned to stand alone, who has discovered their own worth independent of external validation, who has built an inner sanctuary that no one else's actions can destroy. The remorse they carry is not a passing emotion that visits occasionally and then departs. It has become a permanent resident in their spiritual landscape, following them through each day like a shadow, keeping them awake during the dark hours of night when the mind tends to replay our greatest failures with painful clarity. They find themselves caught in endless loops of memory and regret, analyzing every moment, every word, every choice, trying to understand how they could have been so blind to the treasure they possessed in your love. They think obsessively about conversations that should have happened but never did, about moments when they should have reached for you but instead pulled away, about times when honesty would have built bridges but their fear chose deception or silence instead. There is no corner of their mind now that seeks to justify or excuse their behavior. The clarity that comes with loss has burned away all the comfortable lies they once told themselves. They take full responsibility for their choices, understanding that no amount of regret can erase what happened, no depth of remorse can undo the pain they caused. But perhaps, if they can find the courage to be completely honest now, if they can strip away every defense and present themselves to you without pretense or protection, they might begin the long journey of making amends. More than anything else, they want the opportunity to speak with you openly, without the walls and barriers that once stood between you like soldiers guarding against intimacy. The silence has become unbearable, pressing against them with the weight of all the words that need to be spoken. The truth inside them feels like a living thing demanding to be born, demanding to be shared, demanding to be heard. They want to tell you that they see every tear they caused, that they acknowledge every moment of doubt they planted in your mind, every sleepless night they created, every time they made you question whether you were worthy of love. They want you to know that you never deserved any of it, that you were always worthy of care, respect, tenderness, and devotion, even in their moments of greatest blindness to your worth. In the deepest chambers of their heart, they understand they may never get the chance to rewrite your shared story. They know that time and wounds have the power to transform people, that you may no longer want what you once desired, that you may have moved so far beyond the person who loved them that return is no longer possible. But still, they feel compelled to reach out, not to erase the past or manipulate the future, but to honor the truth that burns within them. They want to offer you the apology that should have come long ago, the one that asks for nothing in return except the sacred opportunity to be heard. And perhaps, if the universe in its infinite wisdom allows, they want the chance to demonstrate through their actions that they have genuinely changed, that the person who wounded you is not the same soul standing here now, holding on to hope that it is not too late to make things right. You are, without question or doubt, the most important person in their life. The distance that separates you now, though it may be measured in miles or city blocks, has become far more troublesome and heavy on their heart than they ever imagined possible when they first allowed it to grow. At first, in their foolish confidence, They thought they could handle the separation, that they could simply count days on a calendar until circumstances brought you back together. But they underestimated the power of true connection, the way love creates invisible threads that stretch but never break. No matter where they go, no matter what activities fill their days, their thoughts inevitably find their way back to you like rivers flowing toward the sea. They catch themselves in moments of silence, lost in vivid memories of your face, hearing your voice as clearly as if you were speaking in the next room, feeling the warmth of your presence as though you were standing beside them. These moments come without warning and leave them breathless with longing. This constant pull in their heart creates an almost physical need to close the distance between you, to be in your presence again, to share the same space and breathe the same air. The separation has taught them something they never expected to learn, that love is not just an emotion but a force that defies physical boundaries, creating connections that persist regardless of distance or time. You have given them gifts far more valuable than they could have ever expected from another human being. You have shown them how to face life's inevitable problems with courage rather than cowering before them in fear. Before you entered their world, they believed that bravery meant standing alone against all odds, that strength required isolation and self-sufficiency. But you taught them a different truth, that real courage is found in allowing someone to stand beside you, in opening your heart to partnership and shared strength. You helped them realize that life's heaviest burdens become lighter when carried by two hearts instead of one, that love and support can transform even the most daunting challenges into manageable steps forward. This lesson has revolutionized their understanding of what it means to be strong, what it means to be brave, what it means to be truly powerful in the face of life's storms. They find themselves lost in memories of the times you shared together, moments that arrive in their consciousness like gentle whispers from a more beautiful world. They see you laughing with abandon, walking side by side in comfortable synchronicity, talking for hours as though the rest of the world had simply ceased to exist. These memories are so vivid, so achingly real, that they feel more like sacred visions than simple recollections of the past. Yet within these beautiful memories lies a bittersweet ache, for they serve as constant reminders of what is missing from their present reality. Sometimes tears fill their eyes before they even realize they are crying, tears born from longing so deep it touches their very soul, tears that speak of a passion and love that refuses to be diminished by time or distance. They have never been one to romanticize love or get lost in fairy tale fantasies about relationships. In fact, for most of their life, they viewed love as more burden than blessing, something that weighed down the heart rather than lifting it toward the sky. But something fundamental changed when you entered their story. Something about your smile, which carried warmth like sunlight breaking through storm clouds, something about your kindness that seemed to flow from an endless well, something about your unwavering belief in their potential even when they couldn't see it themselves, made them want to fall completely and utterly in love with you. With your gentle encouragement serving as their guide and your steady support as their foundation, they began a transformation they never thought possible. They evolved from being a guarded, emotionally distant person who kept the world at arm's length to someone capable of genuine openness, authentic trust, and profound feeling. When you entered their life, you brought with you a gift they didn't even know they needed. You showed them the true meaning of love. Not the shallow imitation that populates movies and songs, but the kind of love that lives and breathes through daily actions, through patience during difficult moments, through forgiveness when forgiveness seems impossible, through understanding that goes deeper than words. And now, in your absence, they realize even more acutely how rare and precious that love truly was. Life, as it inevitably does, continues to test them with challenges and obstacles that seem designed to measure not just individual strength, but the resilience of the connection they share with you. Despite every trial, every mile that stretches between you, their dedication has never wavered. If anything, it has grown stronger, deeper, more resolute with each passing day.